Hi everyone and welcome to today's German Hospital Recap. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps. I decided to wear this lovely scarf I made, so I just wanted to show it to you real fast. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, real fast before we get to the recap, I need to tell you all about a dream I had last night because it was German Hospital related. So I had a dream I was watching the show and this is what happens. Turns out Duke faked his own death, right? And he's the one behind this whole thing. Like, he's even higher up than Paul. And, like, he's going after Sonny because he resents him for, like, getting him back into the mob and, like, splitting he and Anna up. Oh, and by the way, he's also bald. And he was, like, holding a gun up to Sonny. I was like, whoa, I didn't see this coming from a mile away. But at least Griffin gets to meet his dad now, right? So, let's see if my dream was a premonition of anything to come on General Hospital. All right, let's get to today's recap. So, and in Dr. Finn's room, Carly is checking on him. She is super concerned, needless to say, and she's calling for help, but then he wakes up and he's like, no, I'm fine. Don't call for help. So she's like, I was really concerned about you, and, you know, we all were. You weren't answering your wake-up calls. You weren't answering the door, and she's like, I thought you OD'd, like, with this, you know, super scary needle, and she wants to know what's going on, and he's like, it's my business, and she's like, no, tell me everything. And I'm like, see, this is why, out of all the people who could have found him, it's good Carly did, because she's not gonna let this go, you know? So he tells her he's diabetic and injected himself with too much insulin, and she's like, you know, my brother's type 1, and, you know, he has nothing like that. And he's like, well, I'm type 2, and I can deal with it as I see fit. So we get lie number 1, I'm going to assume. So he doesn't realize he overslept through the lecture he was supposed to give, and Obrecht comes in and tells him not to even bother coming. Like, super dramatic. Why wouldn't you be dramatic, right? So Carly tries to kick Obrecht out, but Obrecht wants to now use this against him. Well, him missing the lecture. She doesn't know about the needle. But use it against him with the hiring committee, and Carly tries to have his back, but he's like, no, I was wrong. So Dr. Finn says Obrecht is right to be mad at him. So, Obrecht leaves, and Carly's like, why didn't you tell him? Why didn't you tell her? And he's like, you know, she doesn't need to know my business or, like, my medical condition. And he says something about leaving when his patient gets better, and Carly gets upset, understandably, because she really likes him, and she doesn't want him to leave. I don't want him to leave either. I'm upset, too. He has upset 2 Carlys today. Your name is Carly. Comment. Tell me if you were upset, too. I'll add you to the list. It'll be a club. At Franco and Nina's, Kiki is settled in, and Franco is calling Nina, who's not picking up. And Franco tells Kiki that, you know, she's enough, and she's the only kid he needs. So Franco also says he doesn't think his biological child would turn out as great as her, and Kiki wishes there was something she could do to help with Nina. And Kiki doesn't want to stay in the apartment because Franco's, like, planning on leaving, and then there's a car backfire outside, and Kiki has, you know, her reaction. So Franco comforts her, and he doesn't let her apologize for what happened, because he's like, you don't need to apologize, absolutely not. At Nathan and Maxie's place, which they have an unexpected visitor, right? So Nina's there, and apparently she stayed there for like a night or a night and a half, but Nina knows that Franco's been calling and she's not picking up on purpose. It's not like she's just not near her phone. So Nina thanks Nathan and Maxie for being so nice to her, and she doesn't want to go back to her place. Not at all. And Maxie doesn't want Nina to give up on love, aka get out of here, in a nice way. So Nathan fills Nina in on the whole Claudette thing, and Nina wants Nathan to explain why he lied of omission, and he says he didn't want to burden Maxie with that, and Nina's not having it, and frankly, neither am I. So Nathan turns the conversation on Nina, and, you know, Nina doesn't want to hear it, and Nina grabs Maxie's tablet by accident. She thought it was hers, and she sees that Maxie was researching Claudette West. That shouldn't come as a surprise. So Nathan is looking through the search results. None of them are his ex-wife, and Nina tells him to make it right with Maxie, which the way Nina described it pretty much sounded like marriage vows, right? So at the park, they're like I thought the outside thing was like gonna be done, but no, they're like going with this outside thing. How long? To have a pool, right? How long are we going to see this outside thing? I say for one more week. Who wants to get in on this? Okay, so at the park, Ava is dressed in all black with sunglasses because she wants to, totally blend in. But to meet with Julian, and he says the people who pulled the bird stunt have been handled, and she wants to know more. I thought I had a notification, but it's not. So he says that Ava's set, but he's skeptical on his own future, and he tells her about Carlos, and he thinks that Carlos is going to turn on him. So Julian says that his involvement in the organization was temporary, but they think Paul is trying to get Carlos to talk and turn on Julian, and Ava suggests he use his position to take care of the Carlos problem. The person who wants totally out now because she realizes what dangerous to his kids. Now, she wants to give advice. Sorry. I know. I had to throw shade. It's the scarf. It's the shade scarf, okay? So at the Metro Court restaurant, Anna tells Griffin that Carlos was brought back, and then Maxie's in the elevator, and she calls Lulu because it's crisis level 10, and she gets off the elevator and kind of runs into Griffin a little bit. She's upset, so she kind of takes it out on him. She confronts him about what he said to her in the hospital, and they both kind of have a bit of a confrontation with each other. And he says, you have a bad, the man who murdered my father's in custody, and that kind of like stops her in her tracks. And Maxie apologizes for being rude, and she sits down with him. She asks about like kind of the background with it, and it comes out that Duke is his father. And Max, she's like, oh wow, like my mom and stepdad love Duke, and like he was a great friend to our family. So then Maxie mentions Georgie, talks about that a little bit, and Griffin's talks about like forgiveness and like how it's kind of changed for him, and he's like, well, hypothetical forgiveness was easy, but now that Carlos is here, it is like tangible, it's totally different. And Maxie like says she knows how he feels. At the PCPD, Paul wants updates on Carlos, and Paul tells Anna that she botched the operation, and Jordan wants Anna to tell her about the Carlos allegations. So Jordan wants to talk to Anna alone, and Paul wants to be present, and Jordan's like, no, I'm just talking to her as my friend, so like, you don't have to be here. You're not in the clique, okay? So Anna tells her what happened with Carlos the night on the pier, everything, all 4 shots, and she says the whole thing was a setup, and he was bulletproof vests with blood capsules, and she played into his hand. And Jordan wants to know what Paul's connection is to all of this. And real fast, I know some people were asking, maybe I was asking, I don't know, I remember it being asked, but yes, as a reminder, Anna did know about the hit on Jordan, and she was the reason it got called off. So Anna talks with Carlos, and Paul is there, and Jordan is too, and she tells him to do what he needs to do, even if that means turning her in. And Carlos wants to talk to Paul first, and Anna and Jordan don't want to let it happen. Jordan wants to be present, but they have to leave. So Paul tells Carlos he could serve 2 life sentences, but he'll go easy on him if he rolls over on Julian. So Carlos wants to know what happens if he talks, and Paul says, a couple year sentence, and Carlos feels it's a death sentence, and he says, my baby will be an orphan, which leads me to the question, is Sabrina okay? Because if Carlos dies, the baby won't be an orphan. Yeah, Sabrina, but I'm having some concerns now. Like, what was your reaction to that? Were you just like, is he just not thinking about Sabrina at all? Like, what? Maybe it's not that bad that Michael's looking out for Sabrina, because obviously Carlos couldn't care less about her. That's a tricky phrase. All right, so where are we? Oh, end scene. Woo! I can woo again. This is so exciting. Dr. Finn stops Carly. He thanks her for going above and beyond for him, and he asks her to keep the incident between the 2 of them. She says yes, and apparently Roxy got on his case about screwing up with the hospital and everything. Nina comes home. She tells Franco she's come to a decision about them. So is she gonna give up some things, so wanting to have a kid and everything so her and Franco can be happy, or is she going to end the relationship and then find happiness, someone who will sacrifice for her? So who's going to be the one to sacrifice? That's the big question that we'll find out on Monday. So Griffin and Maxie have a great talk. Nathan comes in and he tells Maxie how much he loves her, and I'm like, wait a second, wait a second, hold up. And then he proposes, and I'm just like, not, first of all, not the time, not the place, and definitely not the like appropriate timing in the long run, because y'all have just been like fighting about your ex-wife who, you know, it was such a big mistake, and you know, we rushed into it so fast. And I'm like, are you not doing like the same thing, except there's been like a few more dates? Like, I don't know. I don't expect that from Nathan. I think he's panicking. So whatever he wants to keep hidden from Maxie, that he wants her to drop the search, has to be pretty bad, because this is like panic level 10, okay? And that's on a scale of like 1 to 5. So that's big. And then Griffin sees what's happening. He sees Nathan and he goes, "Oh my God, it's him." What do you mean it's him? What? I have to wait till Monday for this? I'm not having it. I want to know. What is the connection there? Paul says that... No. I don't even know what I was thinking. Paul says Carlos wants to talk to a lawyer, so it's anybody's guess what happens. Oh, that's not me saying it. That's Paul saying it. Oh, it's anybody's guess what happens. That's not how DAs are supposed to work. Carlos calls Julian, and he wants Julian to come over to PCPD. That's not promising for Julian. And don't forget to vote for Character of the Week. I had to get my tablet to turn off. So don't forget to vote for Character of the Week, best, most standout, whatever your criteria is. We keep it, you know, casual here on We Shouldn't Sing. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. It's been great to be back. Woo! And I will see you Monday for more General Hospital. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye. Do your taxes if you haven't already. Reminder, yeah, I'm that person.